Hi guys, I hope you're all doing well and welcome to our first video lecture for this subject. Alright, so by the way, before we begin, I hope you have already go over our course outline, okay, so that you would know in general what are the topics that we are going to discuss for this subject. So this is our chapter 1, okay, which talks about, by the way, I'm using the book Principles of Electronic Communication System. This file that I have or PowerPoint that I have is from the third edition. However, on your Schoology, I uploaded this one. This is the fourth edition, but it's okay. You can still use this one. Okay? If you'd like to do some further readings, you just visit this book. Okay, so to supplement your learning, here is our video lecture. Okay, let's proceed. So the chapter 1, of course, is all about introduction to electronic communication. Okay, so we are going to talk about communication, electronic communication to be specific. So these are the topics that we are going to cover for chapter 1. We have the significance of human communication, communication systems, types of electronic communication, modulation and multiplexing, electromagnetic spectrum, bandwidth, and maybe we can skip this one. Okay, so let's start. So first, we have here the significance of human communication. Do you think human communication is significant? Do you think the communication between you and your classmate, between you and your neighbor, between you and your a friend, between you and your lover, do you think that's important? Yes, of course. Okay, but what really is communication? When you say communication, what is it? So by definition, or the book defines communication as the process of exchanging information. Okay, so when you do communicate, the goal is to exchange information. There is always information that is involved. Okay, you don't just communicate um because wala kang goal. 'Di ba nag-communicate ka, for example, you communicated with your long lost friend, nag-chat ka sa Facebook. O, uy, kamusta na? O, 'di ba somehow you want to have information, 'di ba? To access, to exchange information from that person, 'di ba? So, the really main goal talaga of communication or communication is a process of exchanging information. Okay? If you want to exchange information, you want to know information, get information, you do communicate. Without communication, there is no exchange in information. Okay, so for human communication, the main barrier is the language or are the language in the distance. Tama po ba? Barrier ba yung language? Of course, because if you have a friend from, let's say, for example, China. Wow, China talaga. Yes, from China. Um, and if you guys try to communicate, but then you speak in different language, do you think um there is a meaningful communication that will happen? Most probably not. Kasi you don't understand each other. Okay? Although you guys are really exchanging information, but you don't understand each other's information, so it would not be a great idea. Okay, so language is a barrier, as well as distance, of course. For example, andyan kayo ngayon, andito ako. I'm in Libungan, say for example. And if you want to communicate with me, pwede mo ba akong sigawan? Sigawan, pwede mo ba akong kausapin without the use of any technology, just through your voice? Kaya ba? Hindi, 'di ba? So, our distance would matter. Okay? Kaya main barriers ng human communication is language and distance. Contemporary society's emphasis is now on the accumulation, packaging, and exchange of information. So, itong electronic communication, the goal nito is to address the distance barrier between the human communication. Alright, so we try to address distance barrier, the distance as a barrier in human communication. So that is why, because of our technologies nowadays, ano, distance is not a barrier anymore. Tama ba? Kahit malayo siya, you could still communicate. You just have to use your cell phone. Pwede mo siyang i-chat, pwede mo siyang i-video call, 'di ba? So, through technology, the distance barrier has been addressed. But what about the language? Sa language, it is also addressed through technology, tama ba? There are some applications nowadays that you just have to speak. For example, magsalita ka lang ng Tagalog and it will translate it to other language available sa kanya. So, pwede na. Okay? So, technology has really solved a lot of the barriers of the human communication. So, what is the significance of human communication? Let's have it first, the methods, by the way. So, what are the methods on how human communicate? Ikaw, paano ka ba nagko-communicate sa iyong loved ones? So, number one is you have your face-to-face. Ano ba tong face-to-face? Kapag magkaharap kayo, face-to-face, nagko-communicate kayo. Without cellphone, without anything, you just have to simply talk. Tama ba? So, face-to-face. Minsan, you can communicate through signals. 'Di ba? Nagsisinyasan lang kayo ng, for example, ng barkada mo, medyo malayo kayo, ayun. Nagsinyasan kayo, punta kayo dun sa ano, nagkaintindihan din naman kayo. So, ayun, nag-communicate kayo, nag-exchange kayo ng information. Although, say, for example, hindi talaga kayo nag-usap, but through signs, there is an exchange of information. Diba? Sa mga ano, mga blind and deaf, not blind, sorry. Sa mga deaf people, mga bingi, 'di ba? They do communicate even without hearing or really talking to the person, but just simply with the use of language, sign language, ayun, pwede na siya. Okay? So again, sa methods of communication sa human, pwedeng face-to-face, pwedeng signal, eto pwede ding written words or letters. 'Di ba? Ang daming paraan para makapag-communicate. Dati wala pang cellphone, naligaw ka, ano ginamit mong communication, nahiya kang mag face to face sa kanya sa nililigawan mo. Ang pangit din namang sinyasan mo siya, di ba? O, ang ginawa mo, nag love letter ka. O, ayun. So, that is an example of a written communication. Okay, you use words, you use letters in order to communicate with someone. And then nowadays, eto na, through technology, meron na tayong electrical innovations. Okay? Modern na yung ating exchange of information. Modern na yung ating communication. Paano? Meron tayong telegraph, telephone, radio, television, internet, 'di ba? Yung cellphone sa nabilang. Oh, mobile devices, smartphones, ang dami na. Okay? There are a lot of electrical innovations nowadays that aid in human communication. So, now let's proceed to communication system. This is not human anymore, ha? This is about communication systems in general. Okay? Pagka sinabi natin communication system, we have what we call the basic components. Okay? Kapag ka-communication system yan, merong tatlong component. You have the transmitter, channel, and receiver. So we have here figure. Oopsie, where is that? So ito yung model ng ating general model ito ng lahat ng communication systems. Sa lahat ng communication system, meron itong tatlo. Always meron kang transmitter. Okay? Siya yung source ng yung information mo, pinapadaan mo sa transmitter in order to generate some signals. Okay? Tapos, from transmitter, papunta sa medium, kailangan may medium ka, okay, or channel, para makapunta sa receiver yung iyong information. Alright? So, yung information mo dito, usually ang tawag sa kanya intelligence. Okay? Pwede na yung audio, yung voice. For example, you use cellphone, yung voice mo, that could be the information, the source of information or intelligence. Pwedeng video, pwedeng data, ayun. Tapos dadaan siya sa transmitter, transmit siya through the channel. So pag sinabing channel, pwedeng free space, okay, wireless, pwede siya. Or radio communication. Pwede na naman siyang dumaan sa wire. For example, yung mga ano natin, okay? Minsan naman, pwedeng fiber optic, Okay, and a lot more. Maraming pwedeng medium of communication natin. So, dumaan siya sa medium of communication, tapos dumating siya sa receiver. Sa receiver na ngayon, nare-recover yung information and intelligence. Okay? Pero take note, merong noise. Okay? Along the way, along your channel, sometimes nagkakaroon ng noise. Okay? So sometimes nade-distort itong signal dito from the transmitter. So pagdating sa receiver, erroneous na yung signal. So itong noise na ito, unwanted to. But somehow, hindi rin siya controllable, ano? Sometimes nagkakaroon talaga ng noise. So there are certain mechanisms din naman dito sa ating transmitter and receiver to combat the error caused by noise. Okay? So let's go back to the slide. So itong noise in general, it degrades or interferes with transmitted information. For example, meron kang sinusoidal signal. Sometimes, or let's say digital signal, meron kang 1010. So sometimes itong noise, it would interfere with your information. Sometimes yung 1 napapalitan ng 0, yung 0 napapalitan ng 1. Yung high level napapalitan ng low level, ganun. Okay? Noise is unwanted because it interferes with the information, it alters sometimes, and sometimes naman dinedegrade niya. For example, merong sinusoidal signal. So, dinedegrade niya instead na yung Vmax ng ating sinusoidal, let's say for example lang ha, 5 volts, eh di nagiging 10 volts na lang siya. Ganun. Lumiliit yung signal because of the noise. Ito pala yan. Okay. So this is our communication system model. So let's define transmitter. So transmitter, it is a collection of electronic components and circuits that converts electrical signal into a signal suitable for transmission over a given medium. Okay. So transmitter, ano lang siya? This is just a collection of electronic components. Okay. So ibig sabihin electronic device ito siya. Anong pinaka-goal ng transmitter? It converts electrical signal, yung electrical signal mo, into a suitable signal for transmission over the medium. Kasi for example, yung signal mo, or yung source of information mo, say for example, is voice. Tapos padadaanin mo siya sa wires. Yung voice, basically, hindi siya makakadaan sa wires. Tama po ba? Kailangan mo na siyang i-convert into electrical signals, okay, suitable signal, para makadaan siya doon sa medium. Okay? So, ang mag-a-adjust is si transmitter. Siya yung mag-transmit para suitable yung iyong information doon sa gusto mong medium. So, transmitters are made up of, ayan, sa later makikita natin yung mga circuit ng transmitter. So, but basically, it is just made up of oscillators, amplifiers, tune circuits and filters, modulators, frequency mixers, frequency synthesizers, and other circuits. Okay, now we have the communication channel. So the communication channel is the medium by which electronic signal is sent from one place to another. Okay? Yung channel, siya yung medium, siya yung dinadaanan. Okay? So, ayun, maraming medium pwede na electrical conductors, yung mga wires, pwede din yun. Optical media, fiber optics, pwede. Free space, pwede din naman sa, wireless, free space lang. Pwede ding system-specific media. Okay? Minsan, pwede din namang water. Pwede maging medium yung water. Okay, that is for sonar. We also have the receivers. So, a receiver is a collection, same lang siya same lang siya sa transmitter. It is also a collection of electric components and circuits that accepts transmitted message from the channel. Pero ang ginagawa niya, it converts it back in a form understandable by human. Okay? Kasi take note, diba, yung information kanina sa ating transmitter, binabago niya, depende sa medium na gagamitin mo, napadadaanan mo. So, pagdating ng receiver, kasi binago mo kanina, ibalik niya sa original para maintindihan ng humans, para maintindihan mo. So, ganoon din, yung receiver din, meron din siyang amplifier, oscillators, mixers, tune circuits, and demodulator. Okay, itong demodulator, ito talaga yung pinaka nagre-recover ng ating original signal. Okay, from of course our modulated carrier. More on that later. Okay. Meron din naman tayong tinatawag na transceiver. It is an electronic unit that incorporates circuits that both send and receive signal. Okay. Kung meron tayong dedicated na device for transmitting alone, so transmitter yon, for receiving alone, receiver yon, meron din namang both, it can act as transmitter and receiver. At ang tawag natin sa kanya ay transceiver. Examples yung telephone, fax machine, handheld CB radios, cell phones, computer modems. Okay? Ibig sabihin, for example, sa telephone, di ba pwede kang makapagsalita at marinig ng iyong kausap, tama ba? So, ibig sabihin yung telephone, meron siyang circuitry that could transmit signals from you, from the, to your friend through a certain medium. Tapos pag sumagot naman yung kaibigan mo sa'yo, so, nag-send siya ng signal papunta sa'yo. So, ibig sabihin, ikaw, sa telephone mo, merong circuitry doon na hindi lang nagsisend ng signal, nagre-receive din siya ng signal. Okay? So, kapag ka ganun, pwede siyang mag-send, pwede siyang mag-receive. It is called transceiver. It could transmit and receive signals. We also have another term here, the attenuation. So, signal attenuation, same lang yan siya sa degradation. Okay? Before, pagka narinig ko tong attenuation na word, yung pumapasok sa isip ko is kabaliktaran. I think attenuation kasi before, parang mm, pinapalakas niya yung signal, ano? Kasi attenuates, diba? Pero iba, okay. Mali pala yun. Hindi ko alam ba't pumasok sa isip ko yun. So, attenuation, ibig sabihin, degradation. We don't want this. In any signal, we don't want this. We don't want our signal to attenuate or to degrade. So, what causes this attenuation or degradation? Sabi kanina, noise. Okay? So, exists in all media, but this one is unavoidable. It exists in all media of wireless transmission. Especially sa wireless transmission, nagkakaroon talaga ng attenuation. And this one is proportional to the square of the distance of the transmitter and the receiver. We will have formula on this later. Pero ang sinasabi niya lang, proportional daw siya o directly proportional. Ibig sabihin, to the square of the distance between the transmitter and the receiver. So, ibig sabihin, the distance would matter. The greater the distance between the transmitter and the receiver, the greater then the attenuation. Normal kasi yan eh. Talagang nagde-degrade yung signal mo. Kaya kailangan sometimes merong repeaters para to reboost or to regenerate your signal. Kasi normal sa kanya na mag-attenuate talaga siya. Especially pagka malayo na yung distance from the two. So we have here noise. Noise is a random, undesirable electric energy that enters the communication system via the communication medium. So sa transmitter and receiver, hindi makakapag-interfere doon yung noise. Okay, it can be avoided. However, doon sa medium, doon na siya pumapasok. So kumbaga sa ating communication system, yung weak part doon is sa ating medium or sa channel because doon pwedeng papasok yung ating noise. Okay, so we have the so-called types of electronic communication. So, electronic communications are classified according to whether they are one-way or tawag natin dyan, simplex or two-way or duplex transmission. Meron din naman, pwede rin natin siya i-classify according to whether it is analog or digital. Okay. So, electronic communication again, pwede siya maklasify into analog or digital or into one-way or simplex or duplex, half duplex or, yeah. So, ano ba ibig sabihin ng simplex? So, simplex method of electronic communication, it is the simplest, of course, itong simplex. Bakit siya simple? Kasi, one-way lang siya. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Example, radio. Sa radio, pwede mo bang kausapin yung DJ? Di ba hindi? Nakikinig ka lang, di ba? So, yung radio mo, receiver lang siya alone. Hindi siya nagtatransmit. You don't speak to your radio, oy DJ, mag-request nga ako ng ganito. Hindi pwede, 'di ba? Kasi yung radio mo, yung circuitry niya doon is only for receiving. Hindi siya nakakapag-transmit. So, in that way, there is only one way lang of communication. It is from yung signals is doon sa from the radio station to your radio. Okay? So, pagka ganun yung scenario, simplex yon. One way lang. Okay? TV. Di ba nanonood ka lang, wala kang control, wala kang, hindi ka nakakapag-send sa kanila ng signal. Although nakakontrol mo naman yung channel, pero what I mean is, you don't really communicate with them. Diba? You just receive signals from them. So this is just one way. The flow of information is only from the radio TV station to the viewers. And also, beeper is an example. Okay? Basta simplex, isa lang yung flow of information. Always lang, yung isa always lang nagsisend, yung isa always lang nakikinig. Okay? Ganun lang. Itong isa naman, meron tayong tinatawag na duplex. Okay? Actually, meron tayong tinatawag na full duplex. Sometimes, itong full duplex simply called as duplex lang. So, kapag ka duplex, automatic, full yung ibig nating sabihin. Bakit full? Kasi meron din tayong half duplex. Okay? So, unahin muna natin tong half duplex. Sa half duplex, it is a two-way communication siya. Basta two-way communication, meron yung duplex. Depende kung paano siya. Okay? Paano ba yung two-way na yon? Magde-determine with whether half ba siya or full duplex. Okay? So, sa half duplex, only one party transmit at a time. Okay? Hindi pwedeng sabay. Hindi kayo pwedeng sabay mag-usap. Paisa-isa lang. That is half. Although, yung isa pwedeng mag-send ng information, yung isa pwedeng mag-receive, and after some time, yung isa na naman yung mag-send, yung isa na naman yung magre-receive. Okay? Para yung give and take. But both of them can send and receive. Pero hindi nga lang pwedeng sabay. That is half duplex. Example is yung police, military, radio transmission. Yung mga radio ng police, mga security guards, 'di ba? Nakikita nyo ba na kapag nag-uusap sila doon, salitan sila, hindi sabay, 'di ba? Oh, kasi example 'yun ng half duplex. Citizens band or CB, family radio or amateur radio rather. Okay? So itong half duplex naman, kung yung isa lang at a time, this one, pwede kayong sabay. Okay? People can talk and listen simultaneously. Example, telephone. 'Di ba sa telephone, hindi mo naman hihintayin matapos muna siya bago ikaw naman. 'Di ba? Pwede kayong magsabay mag-usap. So, in that way, or in that form of communication, pwede kayong sabay mag-usap at makinig, that is called full duplex, or simply duplex lang. Okay? So, again, just a review. Sa types of, this is electronic ha, walang ganun sa actual human communication. So, sa types of electronic communications, pwede siyang simplex, duplex, or full duplex. Pwede din siyang half duplex. Okay? I hope clear yung bawat isa. Another, sabi natin kanina, um, yung ating electronic communication, okay, can be classified according to simplex ba siya or duplex, okay? One way ba siya or two way? Kapag ka two-way, depende kung half ba siya or full. So, aside from this, pwede din natin siyang i-identify with whether it is analog or digital, yung ating communication. Okay, so let's have first analog. An analog signal is smoothly and continuously varying voltage or current. Kapag ka yung signal mo is analog, alam naman natin yung analog, di ba? Yung mga sinusoidal, kapag ka continuous at saka smooth yung pagbabago ng current tsaka voltage ng ating signal. That is an example of analog. For example, sine wave, voice, video or TV. That is sa analog. Ganto. So we have here our, para mas ma-illustrate siya. Okay. So ito, di ba smooth, continuous yung ating signal? Tama po ba? So therefore, itong letter A is an analog. Etong B, actually ito sinusoidal to. Ito, this is for the voice. Ganito usually yung itsura ng voice, signal ng voice. So ito, still, continuous po ba? Oo, continuous siya. 'Di ba? Analog din to. Ito, continuous ba? Continuous din naman, 'di ba? Hindi naman siya putol-putol. So this is also an analog. Kaya ganito yung mga itsura ng signal sa analog. Next is a digital signal. Digital signal change in steps or discrete increments. Most digital signals use binary or two-state codes. Example is itong Morse code, continuous wave code, and we have the serial binary code. These are examples of our digital signals. Okay? So, tingnan nyo itong, eto. So, ganito ang itsura more or less ng ating mga digital signals. There are only more or less two values or discrete values for the signal. Okay? So, digital signal change in steps or in discrete increments. It change in steps. Ayun. So, etong mark space, this is for your Morse code. So, Morse code, gumagamit sila ng mark tsaka space. Wherein yung mark, yun yung on or yung 1, and space is your off. Okay. This one naman is for your continuous wave. Okay. If you notice, meron siyang dot at saka dash. May pattern lang. Let's say, for example, this one is for 0, this one is for 1, ganun. May pattern siya. Dalawa lang yung pwede niyang maging value. Pwede siyang maging dot or dash. This one is for serial binary code. Ano lang siya? Normal lang for kapag ka yung data is, or yung bit is 1, it is high. If your bit is 0, nagiging low. 1, 0, dalawang 1, 0, ganun. Okay? Merong discrete increments yung ating levels. Unlike with our analog, ito, hindi mo siya ma-predict. Ano? Kasi varying siya all the time. Wala ding pattern yung vary niya. Unlike sa mga sinusoidal. Kasi for example sa voice, ayan, depende siya. TV, 'di ba? Unlike with digital, meron kang discrete na increment. Ayan. Okay, so digital, dalawa lang yung pwede maging value ng ating, of course, ng signal. Okay. Whereas dito, paiba-iba. Depende. Okay.